Welcome to Fulgur channel. And today we have a gripping story that has captured the world's attention. It's an incident that raises questions about international relations and territorial disputes. On Chinese jet-fired flares close to submarine-hunting helicopter in South China Sea, Canadian Navy says, "We will take you through the events that unfolded when a Chinese jet shot down a Canadian submarine-hunting helicopter in the South China Sea." But before we dive into the details, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss an update on stories like this. The South China Sea, an area known for its complex territorial disputes and military tensions. We explore one of the most recent and concerning incidents that occurred in these waters. It all started when a Canadian submarine-hunting helicopter was on a routine patrol near the disputed region. The mission? To monitor and collect data on submarine activity, a vital part of modern naval operations. A Chinese warplane fired flares in front of a Canadian military helicopter over international waters of the South China Sea last Sunday, an operation that Canadian military officers said was reckless and could have resulted in the downing of the aircraft. The risk to a helicopter in that instance is the flares moving into the rotor blades or the engines, so this was categorized as both unsafe and non-standard, unprofessional, said Major Rob Millen, air officer aboard the Royal Canadian Navy frigate HMC's Ottawa, the warship from which the Sikorsky Cyclone helicopter was flying. The incident was the second of two encounters the Ottawa's helicopter had with Chinese People's Liberation Army Navy J-11 fighter jets over international waters on October 29, which saw the fighters get as close as 100 feet from the helicopter, Millen told CNN in an interview aboard the warship. He said that Canada and other nations have seen Chinese aircraft get close to fixed-wing aircraft on numerous occasions, but it was rare to see such action taken against a helicopter. The first incident was over international waters outside of 34 miles from the Paracel Island chain in the northern part of the South China Sea. The second was also over international waters outside of 23 miles from the Paracels. The warship was operating in international waters 100 miles, 160 kilometers, east of the Paracels at the time. The Canadian helicopter was searching for a previously detected submarine when the incidents occurred, officers aboard the Ottawa said. Millen said he was piloting the Canadian helicopter earlier in the day, when Chinese J-11s intercepted it at close range, while it flew straight and level at 3,000 feet above the water back toward the Ottawa, a signal to that it had no hostile intent. In that earlier encounter, Millen said the Chinese fighters flew in circles around his helicopter. When the intercepting aircraft was closer and closer, at a certain point it became unsafe, he said. His helicopter experienced turbulence coming off the Chinese jets, also posing a danger to the copter, Millen said. "I certainly am not as comfortable as you can be based on the fragility of the rotor system," he said. Millen said he ended that encounter by descending to 200 feet, an area where the helicopter can operate, but is very uncomfortable for fast air fighter jets. The Canadian Air Force major said his military's air crews train on how to respond to such intercepts as occurred on Sunday and will continue to fly over the international waters of the South China Sea. China claims historic jurisdiction over almost the entirety of the vast South China Sea, and since 2014 has built up tiny reefs and sandbars into artificial islands heavily fortified with missiles, runways, and weapons systems, sparking outcry from the other claimants. The Paracels, called the Tisha Islands by China, are in the northern part of the South China Sea, east of Da Nang, Vietnam, and south of China's Hainan Island. The 1.3 million square mile waterway is vital to international trade, with an estimated third of global shipping worth trillions of dollars passing through each year. It's also home to vast fertile fishing grounds upon which many lives and livelihoods depend. In 2016, an international tribunal in The Hague concluded that China has no legal basis to claim historic rights to the bulk of the South China Sea. China has ignored the ruling. According to the authorities, A targeted Canadian helicopter had been searching for a submarine it had detected. Hours before the Chinese standoff, Millen described how he had been piloting the aircraft when Chinese J-11s intercepted it at close range. The rival vessel flew in circles of Millen's helicopter, the military man said, but as it drew closer and closer, at a certain point it became unsafe. It experienced turbulence emitting from the Chinese jets, which also sparked fears for the safety of the helicopter. He added, "I certainly am not as comfortable as you can be based on the fragility of the rotor system." Major Western powers frequently conduct passage across the sea in order to assert that the region is international waters, sparking Beijing's ire. The Ottawa had been patrolling the waterway since last Monday, at times operating with United States, Australian, Japanese, and New Zealand naval vessels and aircraft in a multinational exercise dubbed Noble Caribou. However, it was operating alone when the encounters with the Chinese jets. The Ottawa and the U.S. Navy destroyer U.S. Rafael Peralta overnight Wednesday into Thursday local time continued their deployment into the Taiwan Strait, another international waterway and vital shipping channel that has seen tense. Lai said if the U.S. and other foreign powers did not want confrontation, they should not send their military assets near China. "Mind your own business," Lai said, adding, "Why did all these incidents happen in areas near China, not in areas near other countries?" This week's passage of the Allied warships through the strait was uneventful, however, with no contact reported. Sunday's incidents come after other reports of unsafe intercepts of Allied aircraft in the recent days. That's all for today's episode of Fulgur Channel. We hope you found this report informative and eye-opening. The incident involving the Chinese jet shooting down a Canadian helicopter in the South China Sea serves as a stark reminder of the tensions that exist in the region and the need for peaceful resolutions. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends and family. Remember to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an update from us. And as always, feel free to share your thoughts on this incident and its implications in the comments section below. We'll be closely monitoring the developments in this story, and we'll keep you informed.